droopy breeches on,
and he had those smelly boots, huh?
Yeah, you know about that, huh?
Yeah, the rubber boots that smelled something bad in the summertime.
They did, I tell you, especially in the summertime.
Were you, as far as you know, were you and Scott the first male-female duet on the barn dance?
Yes, on the barn dance we were. I think there were some others, like the Carter family, had sang duets and with their group, and I don't really know at the time if there were others, but they may have been. I just don't know. All I knew about was what I was doing.
But you started on the barn dance, got on there in late 32, a teenager on there. And I guess it was, 34 that Scott was hired for the barn dance?
No, he was hired along about the same time that I was, not too, I can't remember exactly, but just a few months. And I was, I think, as I recall.
Maybe it was 34 when they teamed you and Scotty up?
No, we were married at 34, in 1934. I guess we got together fairly early in both our careers there because, see, we were married in 34, and I guess I'd been there about 2 years. And he'd come shortly after I did.
And they teamed y'all up.
Yeah.
They told y'all you were going to work together.
Well, Red Foley got married. He wanted to get married, and his little wife wanted to sing with him. So they broke up, Foley and me. And they had to have somebody, and Scott was there, and he newly there, and just newly out of college, and had a job over at WMMN in Fairmont, West Virginia. Mr. Bigger heard him on the radio one night, and Bradley Kincaid was a friend of Scott's older brother. They went to school together up in Berea, Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
And Bradley came down to get some songs from Scott, because Scott was a collector even at an early age, and that's how Scott got up there. Bradley kind of told him, about Scott and how he was a nice young man and he sang pretty good and all that. So he called him up and had him come up for an audition, and that was the first time I met him, when he came for his audition.
And y'all became known after y'all got together on the barn dance as the Hayloft Sweethearts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
before that, I'd been the Belle of the barn dance, and then we became the Hayloft Sweethearts.
And, of course, you made your first records in 1934. I guess you were, 19, 20 years old at that time?
No, it would have been. I made them before Scott and I were married. What you call it?
Daffy over Taffy?
Yeah, Daffy over Taffy. I believe it's been so darn long, but I think that I made that we're going out west this fall with Red, and Daffy over Taffy, I believe.
And you sang, and Red Foley played guitar, right?
Yeah, because I didn't belong to the union yet. You had to belong to the musicians union, and they wouldn't let just anybody in. I guess they didn't think I was much of a musician.
You and Scotty got married over at Naperville, Illinois.
That's right.
And there was, y'all went over there to get the marriage license, and y'all found a preacher.
Yeah.
And Scotty dared you to say something in the Lulu Belle character to the preacher, right?
Yeah.
You remember what that was?
Yeah. He said, you go up and go to the door, and you tell whoever comes that me and him's come to get hitched.
And you did that?
I did it. And the man looked, the preacher, it was a nice Methodist preacher out in Naperville. And about 10 o'clock in the morning. And he looked at me, he looked at me so funny, and he said, what did you say? I said, me and him wants to get hitched. That corny voice. And he took us in and married us up. And just as we were starting to say the vows, I remembered that I had gum in my mouth. I wasn't aware of it. I chewed it all the time, and it was just one of those things that was still in my mouth.
You always had your bubble gum.
Yeah, and I had to swallow it. Swallowed my gum.
You were voted in 1936 the most popular female on the radio. You beat out people like Kate Smith and, doggone, so many other big names.
Yeah, Jessica Dragonette was a big name those days. I beat her.
But you were the most popular female on radio back at that time.
I still find it hard to believe, but that was what I was told and what was in the papers and everything, magazines.
Yeah. And you also hold that distinction, of course, in you campaigned in 1974, and you went on to be elected to the North Carolina General Assembly, the first gal ever elected.
That's right, the first one that ever even ran, I think, in my district. And the first Democrat. There's very strong Republican counties in the western North Carolina, very strong, about 3-1 Republican to Democrat. And some of those dear souls, the Republicans had to have voted for me, or I couldn't have made it.
Yeah.
Well, I told them it didn't make any difference what my religion was.
I remember you on the barn dance, you had that little wooden box.
Oh, well, Mom decided that I should have something to carry around, and she painted Hope Chest on the side of it.
Right.
And I carried it around, and I had the key to it on a little chain around, or string, I guess, around my neck, and I'd go over and sit on the edge of the stage. I carried food in it, grapes and bananas and pickles and all kinds of junk in it, and go over and sit on the side of the stage and I'd peel a banana and ask the fella sitting in front if he'd like a banana, and I'd give him the banana. Or if he'd say I'd rather have some grapes, I'd say, you want me to peel them for you? And I'd sit there and peel them, peel a grape or two. Oh, Lord, I can know.
It got to a point there on the barn dance, you and that Hope Chest, the little wooden box, that there was Halloran, I guess, that used to tell you, don't even open the box.
Yeah. Yeah, well, see, they made you stay on the stage all the time in those days. You couldn't be off backstage wandering around, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I'd sit there, and then I'd do something dumb, and apparently everybody was watching me with that Hope Chest, wondering what was in it. And, it just, the other acts hated it, and so did Hal. He hated it. But I didn't know. I wasn't trying to grab anybody's act. I didn't know the term. I didn't know what it meant. I just did what they told me to do.
You had a good time on the barn dance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One time I know that Hal, I came up to sing a song, and Hal said something kind of hateful to me, and when I got thrown off the stage and cried, and when I got home I bawled, and Mom said, you don't need to put up with him talking to you like that. You talk back. You tell him. So I got to be a regular smart aleck.
You did.
Yeah. I didn't put up with nothing from nobody.
I've heard the stories.
Have you?
Oh yeah. They have the stories of you and Halloran going at each other. They're written up in a number of places. I read it in some of that country music journal that they gave me. Is that what you've got there? Oh, I've got all kinds of things about you. You have? I was mentioning to you the other night we were talking, and I mentioned to you that Ray Nemec up at Naperville, Illinois, who is an authority on old radio programs and a collector of the old radio programs. He had sent to me a copy of an article that appeared in Radio Guide magazine back in 1934. And this was about the barn dance. And I was telling you the other night what it said in here about you. Yeah. Let's see, how does this go? It says, born to the rib-tickling prank is Lulu Belle, who, as the untutored backwoods buffoon, gives audiences their fill of laughs. Buxom buffoon, wasn't it? Yeah, here we go. Untutored, buxom backwoods buffoon. That was me. You were a buffoon. Well, that's a clown, isn't it? I guess. I'm not sure. A buffoon. That's what Mama told me anyway. Maybe it meant something else. I'm looking at a clipping from an old newspaper. This is an old faded clipping that a listener up in Moores Hill, Indiana, Mary Slayback, sent to me a few months ago. It is a clipping of you and Scotty performing This is outside. You're all at a WLS microphone. It may be a county or state fair or something. There are some tents in the background.
Yeah, they used to have a big farm program every year. That's what that was, I imagine.
And the caption under the picture says, Lulu, Belle, and Scotty performed backed up by Tiny Stokes and Captain Stubby of the Buccaneers.
Right.
I'm not familiar with the Buccaneers or Captain Stubby or Tiny Stokes.
Well, they came later. They came in the early 50s, I believe, about that time, and they were a fine act. There were 5 of them, but they're strictly high class and novelty.
Uh-huh.
They weren't at all corny. And Stubby is still working. He goes around and I guess he mostly talks. Tiny was the singer. He was a heavy-set fellow, had a beautiful voice, a Tiny Stokes tenor voice, very high and clear. And they had, I can't remember some of the others, Sonny and Jerry played a little, what do you call those little black long horns? Clarinet.
Uh-huh.
Early in the morning, ain't it?
It sure is.
And they were very fine. We saw Stubby last year. He and his wife were down at Naples, Florida, and called us, and we had dinner together. And let's see, that's the only ones I remember.
We were listening a few minutes ago to some of this new album that's out, Tender Memories Recalled.
Mm-hmm.
And this is available now. I have the cassette tape that you sent me on this, and it's also available on record album now.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking about it, the price of this was $10.
Right, that includes mailing.
And let me give this address now if anybody wants to order this. It's Marlu Records and Tapes, MAR-LU Records and Tapes, 700 East 6th Street at Portageville, Missouri, and the zip code is 63873. Let me do this again. It's Marlu Records and Tapes, 700 East 6th Street, Portageville, Missouri, 63873. And the album's called Tender Memories Recalled, Volume 1. And you have a favorite on this, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know why it is, but I just love this song, that These Things I Promise You. You can play that?
Let's take a listen to it.
Oh, you're the sweetest thing.
Yes,
you are.
Well, I'm not going to argue with a lady. I never. Let's take a listen to it.
A shoulder to cry on that you can rely on, and someone who loves only you. 2 arms meant to hold you, tender words to console you. These things I promise you. I promise you that I'll be faithful.
I promise you that I'll be true.
2 lips
Meant for kissing, a heart that will listen and love everything you say or do. All these things are yours alone, dear, if you promise you're my own, dear. Please say, I promise you.
I promise you that I'll be faithful.
I promise you that I'll be true.
2 lips
Meant for kissing, a heart that
will listen and love everything you say or do. All these things are yours alone, dear, if you'll promise you're my own, dear. Please say, I promise you.
These things I promise you, Lulu, Belle, and Scotty, from the programs y'all did for the Carolina Tire Company, right?
Yep.
And that's one of your favorites.
I like that piece. I don't know why, but I just love it.
Did Scott write that?
No.
That's not one of his songs.
I don't know who wrote it.
And doggone, Scotty wrote so many doggone good songs.
Yeah, he did.
Especially the New Vitamine. And I was telling you the other day, everybody thinks that Grandpa Jones wrote the New Vitamine.
No, he did write one verse to it, though, or a part of a verse. No, that was Scott's piece. We did it for a long time before Grandpa got a hold of it.
Uh-huh. All right, if anybody's just getting with us, this is a Road Gang, country music the way it used to was here on WWL and KRVN. I'm John Parker, and we're on the phone right now live with Lulu Belle, living legend, and a carny old buffoon from the National Barn Dance.
Right.
As you have been described by folks.
I remember that kind of hurt my feelings when I found out, when the buffoon part, and I didn't know what it meant. So I asked Mom, and she said, it means you're a clown. So that I guess it does, because that's nobody ever said it didn't.
I think they wrote it in an affectionate way, though, and I don't think they were being derogatory the way they put it. But
I don't think so either.
Everybody always got the biggest kick out of you on the barn dance, and I guess when did you last? Were these Carolina Tire programs in the early '60s the last that y'all did?
Yeah, 61 and 62.
And I can tell from what I've heard on this album of those programs, I can see how people would still get a big kick out of y'all at that time too.
Yeah, well, we hadn't been retired too long. We retired in 1958, so still pretty sharp.
And you still know how to do a little bit of Daffy over Taffy, don't you?
Yeah.
Can you do a little line or two?
Everybody has a weakness for the funniest things. Some like ketchup in their soup and some like chicken wings. I'm no different from the rest, 'cause I've got a weakness too. But here is what I like the best, and so I'm telling you. I'm Daffy, I'm Daffy, I'm Daffy over Taffy. Enough.
That sounds just like you did it back in the 30s.
Lord, Lord.
I'm telling you, you still have the voice.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
There are...
Oh, why?
There are so many doggone records that you did, and songs and everything, and you did solo, and that you did with Scotty. And what we want to do right now, we'll take 6 minutes, and we're going to listen to a little medley of things. Would you like to listen with us?
Oh, yeah, hang on.
Okay. Now, we're going to start off by taking that New Vitamine.
The latest rage in this modernistic age. There's no need for growing old when youth is gone. There's a scientific pill, you can take it if you will, and be peppy while the years are rolling on. Oh, we took to a county fair, we rid in a balloon. Says he to me, we'll go and see the man up in the moon. We drifted over towards the farm, perhaps a mile or more, and I heard my mammy's voice coming from the kitchen door. Oh, Lulu, Lulu, hurry home, the cows are in the corn. Yodelee-dee, yodelee.
My tongue got stuck and my face got red.
Blub, blub, blub was all he said.
Rosie looked at me just so and said,
Now don't be bashful, Joe. Yodelee-dee, yodelee. Courting down in Tennessee. Yodelee-dee, yodelee. Underneath that cinnamon tree.
we were once
will linger then where rippling waters flow. When you were my sweetheart long ago. Why did you tell me you loved me when you knew you would break my heart? I thrilled and I cried on the lies that you told. Oh, I believed in you from the start.
I used to be so happy when I lived a single life.
You pestered me both night and day to say I'd be your wife.
I used to beg for one sweet kiss to make my poor heart glad.
You said I'd like to eat you up.
And now I wish I had.
You've got to find a new place to hang your hat.
I guess I'll go roaming with the old tomcat. I'm a great big dog in a little old doghouse town. There's a bluebird singing down in Peaceful Valley, where I left my Sally when I went away. Now I'm through with roaming round. I know I love her, always dreaming of her every night and day. Someday I'll wander back again to where the old home stands, beneath the old tree down the lane, afar in other land. Its humble cot will shelter me from every care and pain, and life be sweet as sweet can be when I am home again.
Last night as the stars were all shining, little Benny knelt down by his bed, and he asked the dear Lord to forgive him for all the bad words he had said. Those very bad words that he said, he learned from some bold wicked man. But he's little and didn't know better. Please, Papa, don't whip little Ben. When I was single, I used to be afraid no one would ever whip me and I'd die of sorrow. Now I am married and that set me down to weep, 'cause my husband chaws tobacco and he snores in his sleep. Lord, I wish I was a single girl again. Lord, I wish I was a single girl again. The sweetest songs belong to lovers in the gloaming. The sweetest days were the days that used to be. The saddest words I ever heard were words of parting. When you said, sweetheart, remember me. I'm Daffy, I'm Daffy, I'm Daffy over Taffy. Daffy, Taffy, Taffy, Daffy do. Something makes me whistle when I've got a fistful, pulling Daffy, Taffy with you. Yodelady, ole, olady, ole, olady, ole, olady, yodelady, ole, olady, ole, olady.
A little medley of Lulu Belle and Lulu Belle with Scotty, and you see, you can still sound the way you did on that Daffy over Taffy.
Boy, now there's a beautiful rendition.
It certainly is.
Oh, Lord. John, I can't tell you how I appreciate you calling, or letting you call you. You letting me call you and ramble on like this.
Oh, you're a living legend.
Well,
let me tell you, Lulu Belle, there are so many people that write to me that listen to this particular 2 hours on Sunday morning, and so many doggone people mention you and mention Scotty.
Oh, no kidding.
And
they still remember.
My goodness, they remember you just like all these things I get in the mail. I have so much. In fact, someone recently, I forget who it was, sent me a copy of an old barn dance or WLS songbook. And there were songs in there that you and Scott, well, it showed you and Barhead on this one particular song, and then there was old Lonesome George Goebel was pictured there with a song.
Yeah, he was there when he was 12 years old.
And you worked with him?
Yes. He was the cutest little boy.
You worked with some of the names. My goodness, it's a list of who's who in country music that you worked with up there on the barn dance.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, they had guests in. Alka-Seltzer, we had the network show an hour went east and the other one west, I think. And they got really popular people for that time, at that age. I can't think of any of them offhand, but we had them.
You had them up there. Carl and Hardy, and of course Patsy Montana was up there with you.
Yeah, she's still going. John, would you believe that little thing is still growing strong? She's going. I had a Christmas card from her, and she was going to Australia, and from there to England, and she goes over there every year. Goes to Europe every year.
It's unfortunate that Patsy is more popular today overseas than she is in this country. But she really pulls the audiences in overseas when she performs.
Well, that's what she's very, just talking. I asked her if they get good crowds, and she said yes, they always have good crowds. I saw her last year. They come over, they have relatives. Paul, her husband, has relatives in Knoxville.
Uh-huh.
They come over to visit them, and then when they do, they call up and come over in North Carolina to see us.
So you and Patsy are friends to this day?
Oh, well, we weren't that close. She was on one show, and I was on another.
Uh-huh.
We had units. They had units, and she was on with the Prairie Ramblers. You remember hearing about them?
Oh, yeah.
And she sang with them all the time after she came and was on the road with them. And then after about 2 months or 6 months, or maybe a little longer than that, they put me on as a headliner, and I had my own show.
Uh-huh.
And because they had several units going. They put Scott on my show. I asked for them to put him on with me because I was beginning to like him.
Well, I've got time to play one more record, and I want to play something by Arky, the Arkansas woodchopper, and you worked with him on the barn dance.
Oh, yes.
You remember Mrs. Murphy's Chowder?
Yeah.
We're going to take a listen to that, but I want to thank you for being with us this morning.
Oh, listen, John, I appreciate it so much, plugging the new tape and everything, and those good old sweet folks out there. I wish I could hug every one of them. They used to listen to us, and it's so...
Well, let's say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.
Stay in the buggy, huh?
Stay in the buggy, yeah.
And here's Arky, the Arkansas woodchopper, Mrs. Murphy's Chowder.
It's ice cream, cold cream, benzene, and gasoline, soup, beans, string beans floating all around. Sponge cake, beef steak, miss steak, stomach ache, cream puff, steel muffin, to be found. Silk hat, doormat, bed slats, Democrats, cowbells, doorbells, beckon you to dine. Meatballs, fish balls, mothballs, cannonballs, come on in, boys, the chowder's fine. Won't you bring back Mrs. Murphy Chowder? From each helping you'll be helping for a headache powder. And if they had it where we are, we might find a little Austin car in a plate of Mrs. Murphy Chowder. Now memories of the Golden West, friends I used to know, they take me to that boarding house where I lived long ago. Every Friday evening we would gather in the hall, waiting for the greatest treat of all. Won't you bring back Mrs. Murphy Chowder? It was tuneful, every spoonful made you yodel louder. After dinner, Uncle Ben man used to fill his fountain pen from a plate of Mrs. Murphy chowder. Ice cream, cold cream, benzene, and gasoline, soup, beans, string beans floating all around. Punch cake, beefsteak, mistake, stomach ache, cream puff, deer muzzle made it to be found. Silk hats, doormats, set flat, Democrats, cowbells, doorbells, beckoning you to dine. Meatballs, baseball, mothballs, cannonballs, come on in, boys, the chowder's fine. Won't you bring back a Mrs. Murphy chowder? From each helping you'll be helping for a headache powder. Now if they had it where we are, we might find a little Austin car and a plate of Mrs. Murphy chowder. There's ice cream, cold cream, benzene, and gasoline, soup, beans, string beans floating all around. Bunch cake, beefsteak, mistake, stomach ache, cream puff, beer must made it to be found.
That is Archie, the Arkansas wood chopper, with that benzodrine, cold cream, and all such as that. And we want to thank Lulu Belle again for being with us live from down in Florida this morning, one of the living legends in country music and one of the stars of the old National Barn Dance. That'll do it for country music the way it used to was this Sunday morning.
You'll be in for a mighty pleasant surprise when you pull into the Slidell Union 76, because you'll get full service at self-serve prices. At the Slidell Union 76, they will not be undersold on diesel prices, and you get S&H green stamps with every diesel purchase. And they'll put you on the Big Fueler program, too. Free check cashing, free showers at the Slidell Union 76. I-10 exit 266 in Slidell, Louisiana. You will get full service treatment at self-service prices at the Franklin Union 76. I-65 at Peytonville Road in Franklin, Tennessee.
Well, mighty fine and a great big western howdy. This is Ranger Doug and Too Slim of Riders in the Sky. If you know a man about to turn 18, pass along some good advice. The law requires him to register his elective service within 30 days of his 18th birthday. He just completes a simple form at any post office. Gee, Ranger Doug, you mean a cowboy must be registered before he can qualify for federal student loans, most federal jobs, or job training? Right you are, Slim. So don't let that young man miss out. Remind him to register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, it's the law, and it's the cowboy way.
As an organization whose mission is to instruct others how to manage a business effectively and profitably, we've got to use the best techniques ourselves.
George Harmon, American Management Association.
We've had a formal program to hire disabled people for about 8 years. These employees are reliable and dedicated. Hiring disabled people is smart management.
Employers, for more good advice on hiring disabled workers, call 1-800-JAN-PCEH.
This is WWL New Orleans.
CBS News, I'm Betsy Rosenberg. A surprise announcement from the Soviets in Paris. Soviet officials have announced they are no longer producing chemical weapons and will soon start destroying stockpiles. CBS State Department correspondent Wyatt Andrews reports.
For Shevardnadze, it was a far more formal and dramatic announcement of what the Soviets have said before, that the Soviet Union has built a chemical weapons destruction plant and will begin to destroy its chemical stockpile even before the completion of the 40-nation Geneva talks aimed at eliminating the stockpiles of the world. The speech gave an important boost at this meeting in Paris, which has the far more modest goal of getting the 140 countries here to sign a simple pledge never to use chemical weapons again. Even though Shevardnadze gave no details on what percentage of the Soviet stockpile would be destroyed, it was still significant that the world's largest producer of chemical weapons should publicly commit itself to reducing what it has built up. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Paris.
Near Tripoli, Libyan officials offered foreign reporters a look at a factory the U.S. claimed is manufacturing chemical weapons, but only a look. What was supposed to be a tour of the facility last night turned out to be no more than a drive-by. At a breakfast meeting in Paris this morning, Israel's new foreign minister told Secretary of State George Shultz that his country is still strongly opposed to U.S. dialogue with the PLO. Moshe Aaron says Israel feels that contact with the PLO, granting any kind of recognition or legitimacy, cannot further the peace process, and said if anything it will encourage further acts of terrorism. In the occupied territories, Palestinians have begun another general strike. At the same time, Israel has started reconnecting international phone lines after cutting them last month. March. Israeli officials had instructed international operators not to place calls from the West Bank and Gaza Strip in an attempt to prevent communication between Palestinians staging the uprising and Arab leaders abroad. Some strange weather gripping the nation with a different twist in various sections of the country. While the Dakotas shiver in snow and temperatures plummeting to 50 degrees below with the wind chill, record high temperatures were set in portions of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys and several other states. Little Rock, Arkansas was just one of several cities basking in 70-plus temperatures. Warm air triggered a series of destructive off-season tornadoes in 3 states last night. Communities in Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky were affected. Allendale, Illinois was hardest hit with twisters flattening a 10-block area. Sergeant John Monsterman says much of the Allendale area is a disaster zone.
Streets to clear. A lot of these homes are totally destroyed, and the rebels going to have to be sifted through, and they're going to have to see what valuables, can be saved. A lot of it's going to have to start from the ground up.
Another official says it's amazing there were no fatalities. Some 40 people suffered injuries. Residents of Allendale have been evacuated until the danger of explosion from downed power and gas lines passed. At 3 minutes after the hour, this is CBS News.
When you start getting serious about your career, when you decide it's time for you to make that big move, look into the National Business Employment Weekly. Look into it every week for hundreds, yes, hundreds of high-paying managerial, professional, and technical jobs all across the country. Look into it for authoritative advice on how to land one of those jobs, sharpening your resume, shining in interviews, making a salary you can be proud of. Look into it for help in doing well in your new job, advice on getting along with your boss, getting a raise, getting moved up. The National Business Employment Weekly. When you get serious about your career, no other publication can help you so much. Ask for it at your newsstand, or if you prefer, call toll-free 800-225-8400 and have the next 8 issues delivered to you by first-class mail for $35. 8 issues, only $35. Call now, 800-225-8400. Please have a major credit card ready. The National Business Employment Weekly. Don't make a career move without it.
An assassination in Honduras has claimed the life of one of the Nicaraguan Contra leaders. Manuel Rugama was gunned down by machine fire as he drove along the highway outside the capital of Tegucigalpa. Leaders of the U.S.-backed rebel movement immediately blamed the Sandinista government for the attack. Rugama helped organize the Contras 9 years ago. The Japanese government has released a burial date for Emperor Hirohito as the nation continues mourning for the monarch who succumbed yesterday to intestinal cancer. A funeral will be held on February 24th, in keeping with imperial tradition to wait at least 6 weeks before burial. Millions of Japanese have gathered at palace facilities around the country to share their grief. At the Imperial Palace, where the body of the 87-year-old monarch lies, thousands have lined up outside in the rain to express their condolences. One man was so upset by Hirohito's death that he committed suicide. Betsy Rosenberg, CBS News.
Hi, Tom Bodette from Motel 6 with a tip for anyone heading south for the winter or anyone who's just plain tired of being Nanook of the North. I'm talking to you people who plug your cars in overnight, own snow blowers, and know better than to stick your tongue to anything metal outside. When you're migrating to warmer climates, why not stay at Motel 6 and save some money in the process? You'll get a clean, comfortable room, free TV and movies, free local calls and long-distance ones without a motel service charge. And all for around $22, the lowest prices of any national chain. There's even a swimming pool in most places, so you can put on your flip-flops, sit poolside, and write postcards to your friends back home. You know the ones I mean, the kind that say, greetings from sunny Florida or having a ball in Arizona. Well, for reservations, just call 505-891-6161. I'm Tom Bodette from Motel 6. Don't forget to take off those studded snow tires before you go, and we'll leave the light on for you.
This is Pastor Paul Radke, Westfield Assembly of God, on the road to heaven. And I'd like to speak to you for the next 2 minutes from this thought, the blessed man. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Notice this first psalm speaks of the blessed man. And notice he said, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. The ungodly are those that say it doesn't pay to serve God. The ungodly are those that say, live it up. Every man wants to sow his wild oats, and that's the counsel of the ungodly. Then he says, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Second verse says this, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. The law of the Lord is the Bible, the Word of God. Verse 3 says, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruits in season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. Notice the Bible says, his leaf also shall not wither. In other words, you're not going to be wanting, but the Lord's going to supply all your needs. And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. If you want to prosper, if you want to be blessed of God, serve him. Come to Jesus Christ today. Ask him to forgive you of your sins, forsake your sins, and trust Jesus as your personal Savior, and you can have a home in heaven. For further information, write Pastor Paul Radke, Westwego, Louisiana, 70094.
This is Professor Bill Clark with the Clark College of Musical Knowledge in Denton, Texas. It's time now for the Road Gang Bluegrass Review from WWL, New Orleans.
Hiya, Johnny!
Hi, y'all. Was John Parker up here. This is the Road Gang's Bluegrass Review here on WWL. And if you were around here with us last Sunday morning, and I know a lot of you were not, considering it was New Year's morning, last Sunday morning, we played last Sunday morning about a little over half, just over the first half of a great new 2-record album that's out called The Seldom Seen, and their very special guest, a 15th anniversary celebration live at the Kennedy Center. And it was the Seldom Seen, along with their special guests, people like John Starling, Linda Ronstadt, Emmylou Harris, Ricky Skaggs, Sharon White, Paul Kraft, Tony Rice, Charlie Waller, Jonathan Edwards, Alan O'Brien, Bobby Hicks, Stuart Duncan, Robbie Magruder, and Peter Bonta. Recorded live at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, November 10th, 1986. The Seldom Seen, John Duffy, Mike Aldridge, Lou Reed, Ben Eldridge, and Tom Gray. And this album, like I said, we played the first, just over the first half of it. I think we actually got through, I guess, about maybe 65% of it last Sunday morning. And we want to play the rest of it. And here's what we're going to do. There are 4 sides here, 2 records. And we're going to pick up from the beginning of side 3, where Emmylou Harris is vocalizing along with Jonathan Edwards, as well as Lou Reed. All 3 of them on vocals on wheels. So let's pick it up from the beginning of side 3. We're going to go through side 3 and side 4 of the album, and then if we have time, we'll go back. For those of you who might have missed it, we'll go back to the beginning, to side 1, and play as much of it as we can. It is a great album. The Seldom Seen 15th Anniversary Celebration, recorded live at the Kennedy Center. The Seldom Seen with their very special guest. Would you welcome Emmylou Harris?
Gonna do a shuffle for you.
get your chairs up here close to the loudspeaker. You too, Mom. Don't forget that. You heard what Roy said.
Hiya, Johnny!
Hi, y'all. Was John Parker with you. This is the Road Gang's Country Music the Way It Used to Was Sunday morning presentation here on WWL 870, New Orleans, Louisiana, where we originate, and we're coming to you out west and in some central parts of the country by way of satellite on 880 KRVN, Lexington, Nebraska. And we play recordings from the first 40 years of recorded country music, 1922 to 1962. And this is program number 188, our number one of country music the way it used to was. And looking at the calendar today, January the 8th, back in 1979, 10 years ago, the great Sarah Carter of the original Carter family passed away. We're going to just take a few minutes right now to remember Sarah Carter as well as the late A.P. and late Maybelle Carter and listen to a couple of numbers by the Carter family. Let's start off with one called The Little Log Cabin by the Sea.
There is a precious volume of finger worn and old in that little log cabin by the sea. It is the old Bible, more precious now than gold. It's the Bible that my mother gave to me. It is the old precious Bible, blessed Bible that she read in the cabin by the sea. It's the precious, precious Bible, the blessed, blessed Bible, the Bible that my mother gave to me. Now often I've listened to the temple town and lay round that little log cabin by the sea. My mother read Jesus who walked upon the waves, how Jesus on the stormy Galilee. Is the old precious Bible, blessed Bible that she read in the cabin by the sea. The precious, precious Bible, the blessed, blessed Bible, the Bible that my mother gave me. The flowing word is a message from the precious word of God. It told of faithful Daniel who trusted in the Lord. God led me in the pathway that he trod. Is the old precious Bible, blessed Bible that he read in the cabin by the sea. The precious, precious Bible, the blessed, blessed Bible, the Bible that my mother gave me. So precious as this book, it tells me how to live and how to die. It tells me of that city, oh wondrous, wondrous book, and that I'll meet the love of by and by. Is the old precious Bible, blessed Bible that we read in the cabin by the sea. The precious, precious Bible, the precious, precious Bible, the Bible that my mother gave me.
The original Carter family, Little Log Cabin by the Sea is the title of it. Don't have a date that was recorded. Not sure what year that was done. It was made for Victor Records, which would put it either in the 20s or early or mid-30s sometime. They switched around. Carter family switched around from Victor Records. They went on to the Arc Group to record, and then to Decca Records, and then back to Victor Records. Got one here by the Carter family I can date for you and even tell you where it was recorded. And this was done at Camden, New Jersey for Victor Records on June 17th, 1933. They call this Over the Garden Wall.
My love stood under a walnut tree. Oh, beautiful eyes and beautiful hands. She's not very tall, so she stood in a chair. Many a time I kissed her there over the garden wall. Over the garden wall, the sweetest girl of all. There never were yet such eyes of jet, and you can bet I'll never forget the night our lips and kisses met over the garden wall. There's always a will, there's always a way over the garden wall. There's always a night as well as a day over the garden wall. We hadn't much money, but weddings were cheap, so while the old feller was snoring asleep, with a lad and ladder she managed to creep over the garden wall. Over the garden wall, the sweetest girl of all. There never were yet such eyes of jet, and you can bet I'll never forget the night our lips and kisses met over the garden wall. Over the garden wall, the sweetest girl of all. There never were yet such eyes of jet, and you can bet I'll never forget the night our lips and kisses met over the garden wall.
The Carter Family, Over the Garden Wall is the title of it from 1933. 10 years ago today that Sarah Carter passed away. 14 minutes past 3 in the Central Time Zone. You're with the Road Gang's country music the way it used to was. And if you were around here earlier, you heard me mention that it was on today's date, 8th of January, 1815, that Andrew Jackson and his men defeated the British forces of Old Pakenham right down here outside of New Orleans. The Battle of New Orleans, 174 years ago today. It was the final battle of the War of 1812, which had officially ended 2 weeks earlier. It was right after that Battle of New Orleans that a fiddle tune celebrating the victory was being played all around the United States by the fiddlers. And it was called the 8th of January. I found an interesting little quick version of it, very unusual and very interesting version of it that dates from the late 40s. This is Spade Cooley, great fiddler Spade Cooley was. Spade along with his dance gang from an old radio transcription, and a very unusual version of the 8th of January. Interesting little version there by Spade Cooley and his dance gang from the late 40s on radio from an old transcription. The 8th of January. Celebrating today, the 174th anniversary of the Battle of New Orleans. Interscan weather will be coming up directly. It is so lengthy, the computer is still printing it out. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to move on to Jimmie Osborne. James Osborne Jr. Some folks will remember him being called the Kentucky folk singer. Born April 8th, 1923 on a farm near Winchester, Kentucky. Jimmie Osborne almost forgotten about today. And back between 1947 and 1955, Jimmie recorded 66 songs, 30 of which he wrote himself. Probably best remembered for his big hit recording of the death of little Kathy Fiscus. We're going to hear 3 Jimmie Osborne recordings that you very rarely ever hear anymore. The first one was recorded April 18th, 1949. Came out on the King record label. This is called A Bundle of Kisses.
A bundle of kisses wrapped up in a package, all tied with pink ribbon, I'm mailing to you. When the postman delivers, please don't return it. It's straight from my heart, dear, meant only for you. Along with these kisses, I'm sending some loving, the old-fashioned kind, and I hope it will do. So, darling, accept them. Please don't reject them. These kisses and loving, they're special for you. Bundle of kisses wrapped up in a package, they're warm with affection just for you, my dear. When you are lonely, just think of me only, 'cause darling, I love you, I wish you were near. With the kisses and loving, I'm sending some hugging. Neath the stamp on this package, you'll find my heart. So keep them forever, destroy them never. I send them insured since we're so far apart.
A Bundle of Kisses. That is Jimmie Osborne, and that was written by Jimmie and Wayne Rainey, although Wayne Rainey wrote that under a pen name that he used for writing, Lois Mann. And Professor Clark and I were talking earlier about the name that Wayne Rainey wrote under, sometimes Lois Mann, and Bill seems to think that that might have been the maiden name of Wayne Rainey's wife. And so that's how that all came about. But that, in fact, was written by Jimmie Osborne and Wayne Rainey. Got a couple more from Jimmie coming up right here on the Road Gang's Country Music the way it used to was on WWL and KRVN. We got to check Interscan weather right now. Bad weather out here on the interstates. And this will be the last time we take a look at this, because it is going to stay the same way next hour, I can guarantee you. On I-10, fog at Biloxi and Mobile. I-90, there is snow and gusty winds at La Crosse, gusty winds at Madison and Rockford, light snow and gusty winds in and around Chicago. We'll only mention Chicago this once. Just keep in mind you have light snow and gusty winds in and about Chicago. At South Bend, Indiana, winds gusting to 43. At Erie, Pennsylvania, rain and gusty winds. Gusty winds only, Buffalo and Rochester. Albany, New York, with gusty winds and light freezing rain. Chicopee Falls in Massachusetts, reporting light freezing rain and fog. I-20, light rain at Jackson and Birmingham. 40, there's rain and gusty winds at Crossville and Knoxville. Rain and fog at Hickory, Winston-Salem, and Greensboro. Interstate 70, Indianapolis, reporting some gusty winds at the Baltimore-Washington area. There is light rain along with fog. I-80, gusty winds at Moline and South Bend. Light rain and gusty winds at Youngstown, DuBois, and Williamsport. Light rain at Teterboro. 94, snow and blowing snow, gusty winds at Eau Claire. Gusty winds at Madison. Snow and gusty winds at Milwaukee. Light snow, no snow, but gusty winds around Detroit, Michigan. They're at 41 degrees. 24, light rain at Chattanooga. 26, fog real thick around Greenville and Charleston. 74, gusty winds at Moline and Indianapolis. Peoria, Illinois, reporting light snow and gusty winds. 72, gusty winds at Springfield, Illinois. 78, rain and fog at Harrisburg and Allentown. Light rain around Newark, New Jersey. On 88, light freezing rain and gusty winds at Albany. Binghamton, New York, reporting rain and gusty winds. 64, light rain at Huntington. There's rain and gusty winds at Charleston. Interstate 93, fog at Concord. 91, light freezing rain and fog at Windsor Locks and Chicopee Falls. 89, fog at Concord. 83, rain and fog, Baltimore and Harrisburg. 85, there's fog, Anderson, Greenville, and Charlotte. Rain and fog at Greensboro, Raleigh, and Richmond. 79, rain and gusty winds, Charleston, Morgantown, and Erie. 69, Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, both reporting gusty winds. 59, rain at Birmingham and Chattanooga. 77, fog at Charlotte. Light rain at Beckley and Parkersburg. There's rain and gusty winds on 77 at Charleston and Akron. 76, rain and winds at Akron and Youngstown. Fog at Middletown. Light rain at Philadelphia. I-84, light freezing rain and fog at Windsor Locks. 55, rain at Macomb and Jackson. Gusty winds up at Springfield. 65, fog at Mobile. There's light rain, Birmingham and Huntsville. Gusty winds at Indianapolis. And at Lafayette, Indiana, light snow and gusty winds. 75, light rain at Chattanooga. Rain and winds at Knoxville. And then gusty winds, Detroit, Saginaw, Pellston, and Sault Ste. Marie. On 81, rain and winds at Knoxville. Light rain at Bristol and Roanoke. Fog at Martinsburg and Middletown. Rain and fog at Harrisburg. And at Watertown, New York, winds are gusting to 54. 87, fog at White Plains. Freezing rain and winds at Albany, New York. And finally, on 95, fog at Charleston. Rain and fog at Richmond and the Baltimore area. Light rain at Philadelphia, Newark, Teterboro, and then at Portland and Augusta, Maine, light freezing rain, and up at Bangor, there is light snow. That's the bad weather east of the Mississippi River on the interstate. You're with the Road Gang, country music the way it used to was. John Parker with you. Y'all was. This is program 188, hour number 1 here on WWL and KRVN. Back to Jimmie Osborne. And this is one of his Korean War era recordings. It's called Thank God for Victory in Korea. It was recorded October 2nd, 1950. Jimmie wrote this by himself. And you're going to hear some other voices on here, and I don't know who these other folks are. Maybe the Delmore brothers, maybe Wayne Rainey, or some of the other folks who were recording for King Records at that time. Maybe somebody will know about this. Let's take a listen to it.
Thank you, dear God, for victory in Korea. We're grateful that the battle's won. We give you the praise for victory in Korea. We thank you, dear God, for what you've done. Oh, the boys gave their lives, left their children and wives. They were willing to die for you and me. Night and day they did fight for the cause that is right, for America and its liberty. Thank you, dear God, for victory in Korea. We're grateful that the battle's won. We give you the praise for victory in Korea. We thank you, dear God, for what you've done. It looked to me we would be pushed into the sea, but the good Lord said, I will not let you down. He gave us tanks, planes, and guns, so America's fighting sons have old glory waving in Korea now. Thank you, dear God, for victory in Korea. We're grateful that the battle's won. We give you the praise for victory in Korea. We thank you, dear God, for what you've done. We must kneel and pray that peace will come and stay, for this world, it is full of greed and hate. The aggressor's waiting there, but we can't stop him with a prayer, so let's talk to God before it is too late. Thank you, dear God, for victory in Korea. We're grateful that the battle's won. We give you the praise for victory in Korea. We thank you, dear God, for what you've done.
Thank God for victory in Korea. That is Jimmie Osborne, and let's do one more from that same Korean War era. This recorded October 11th, 1951. Jimmie wrote it. It's called The Voice of Free America.
Like the voice of free America, I am pleading now with you. Let's all shout the word of freedom throughout Europe and Asia too. There is no place like our nation, it is led by God's own hand. Let's defeat the aggressor and bring peace to every land. Oh, the voice of free America, it beams throughout the world. Tells the honest way of life to man and woman, boy and girl. Let's thank God for all our freedom. He's been good to you and me. Let's unite the willing nation and keep the whole world free. In Iran they're having trouble over oil, so we do here. Between Britain and Iran, the Russians interfere. On the other side, Korea is a sea of blood today. Send the voice of free America and get on your knees and pray. Oh, the voice of free America, it beams throughout the world. Tells the honest way of life to man and woman, boy and girl. Let's thank God for all our freedom. He's been good to you and me. Let's unite the willing nation and keep the whole world free. Sometimes I wonder what will happen if we go on at this pace. I feel sure there's just one answer. There will be no human race. The atom bomb will cause destruction. We can stop this with our prayers. Send the voice of free America to all nations everywhere. Oh, the voice of free America, it beams throughout the world. Tells the honest way of life to man and woman, boy and girl. Let's thank God for all our freedom. He's been good to you and me. Let's unite the willing nation and keep the whole world free.
Jimmie Osborne, the voice of free America. And we have a controversy, a dispute here amongst a couple of professors of musical knowledge. We mentioned that Professor Bill Clark over at Denton, Texas, had told us that going back to that song of Bundle of Kisses that I said was written by Jimmie Osborne and Lois Mann, Bill Clark had said that Lois Mann was a pen name used by Wayne Rainey. Now, Professor Jerry Cox in Chicago calls down, and he said he has to disagree with his colleague over in Texas. He said that he understood, as he recalled, Lois Mann was a pen name used by Sid Nathan, who was the owner of King Records. So we have a little controversy going there. We're going to have to get them together and solve that mystery. Report back to you 28 minutes away from 4 in the Central Time Zone. You're with the Road Gang's country music the way it used to was. Sunday morning presentation here on WWL and KRVN. I'm John Parker. How y'all was? Let's do a couple of Buddy Starcher numbers from his second recording session. And this was in September of 1946. And these came out on the old 4-Star record label. Buddy Starcher, Buddy Edgar Starcher, was born over in Jackson County, West Virginia, lives today over at Craigsville, West Virginia. And this first one here is a great version by Buddy Starcher of the old Carter family number, The Wildwood Flower.
Twine with tangled and waving black hair, with roses so red and a lily so fair, and the myrtle so bright with the emerald dew, the pale and the leader with eyes look like blue. I will dance, I will sing, and my laugh shall be gay. I will charm every heart, in his crown I will sway. When I woke from my dreaming, my idols were clay. All portions of love had all flown away. Taught me to love him and promise to love, and to cherish me over all others above. How my heart is now yearning, no misery can tell. He left me no warning, no words of farewell. Oh, he taught me to love him and called me his flower, that was blooming to cheer him through life's dreary hours. Oh, how I long to see him and regret the dark hours. He's gone and neglected his pale wildwood flower.
Buddy Starcher from his second ever recording session, September 1946, doing the old Wildwood Flower. We'll do one more by Buddy Starcher from that same recording session. And it's a song that Buddy Starcher wrote. And one you probably remember by Slim Whitman. Slim Whitman had it out in the 50s and had a great deal of success with it. Here's Buddy and the Song of the Water Wheel.
By the valley road, the lilacs are growing around the mill, with an old water wheel and his dusty coat. The miller sits dreaming of his true love, the pretty Lucille. The old water wheel keeps turning and turning, it seems to speak of the kisses they'd steal of the soft summer so light, making love to the song of the old water wheel. Around and around the mill wheel keeps turning, it seems to see all the lovely Lucille. The miller dreams with a heart that is yearning, lost in the song of the old water wheel.
That's Buddy Starcher. He wrote it, Song of the Old Water Wheel, song that we hear a lot around here by Slim Whitman. And Buddy Starcher, of course, probably best remembered today for his big 1966, what year was that? 66, I guess it was. His big hit single back in 66 on the old Boone record label, History Repeats Itself. If you remember that, it showed how history repeated itself concerning the assassinations of Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. And Buddy Starcher, like we say, wrote that song there, Song of the Water Wheel. And to tell you another great song that Buddy wrote, one that Mac Wiseman made famous, and we hear it all the time around here by Mac Wiseman, I'll Still Write Your Name in the Sand, was Buddy Starcher that wrote that also. You're with the Road Gang's country music the way it used to was. We are going to hear from some of the great folks from the old National Barn Dance beginning in just a minute. But first, we're going to take a look at Interscan weather right now on the west side of the Mississippi River. We're going to do this a little early because we're doing something a little special here for about 13, 14 minutes. And we're going to hear from some of those great folks who used to be on the National Barn Dance. And then next hour, we're going to hear from some more of the great folks from the old National Barn Dance out of Chicago. We're going to hear from Arky, the Arkansas woodchopper. And above all, we're going to hear from the great Lulu, Belle, and Scotty. And we're going to hear them live from radio about 1961-62. And some things that you may have never heard before. And that'll be coming up next hour. But in a few minutes, we're going to hear from Red Foley and the Girls of the Golden West and some others. Interscan weather on the west side of the Mississippi River. Bad weather on the interstates. I-10, light rain at Lafayette, Louisiana. I-80, fog at Sacramento, at Des Moines, Iowa. Little wind activity gusting to 31. 84, fog at Boise and Baker. Light rain at Portland. Interstate 90, light snow and fog at Seattle. There is snow with blowing snow and strong gusty winds at Sioux Falls and Rochester. 94. The problems still exist along 94, Bismarck, Jamestown, Fargo, and Minneapolis. Light snow and blowing snow, strong gusty winds. On I-5, way out west, fog at Sacramento. There's light snow at Medford, Oregon, and light rain at Eugene, Salem, and Portland. Then light snow at Tacoma And up at Seattle, light snow with fog. I-15, light snow at Ogden, Pocatello, and Idaho Falls. I-29, gusty winds at Sioux City. Snow and blowing snow, strong gusty winds, Sioux Falls, Fargo, and Grand Forks. And then on 35, gusty winds at Des Moines and Mason City. Minneapolis with snow, blowing snow, and gusty winds. Snow and fog at Duluth. And light snow up around the Canadian border. And that's the bad weather on the interstates. West side of the Mississippi River. You're with the Road Gang's country music the way it used to was. Here on WWL and KRVN. We're going to go back to 1938. And this was the first program ever recorded of this particular program. The master of ceremonies on this program is going to be the great Whitey Ford. Also on here are some of the folks who were big stars on the old National Barn Dance. You're going to hear Red Foley. You will also hear the girls of the Golden West, Dolly and Millie Good. Now, in addition, we also have Slim Miller and the Corn Crackers, and this little program ends up with Red Foley and the girls of the Golden West singing together in a trio situation. The program was called the Pinex Merry Makers. It was sponsored by Pinex cough syrup, if you remember that stuff. This was program number 1. And this program really had nothing to do with the barn dance, but you do have some of the stars of the barn dance on here, Red Foley and the girls of the Golden West. So let's go back, 1938, Pinex Merry Makers, their first ever transcribed program.
When I hear that mountain call, my thoughts begin to stray. Back to old Pine Mountain, where I spent my happy days.
Friends, this program of fun and music is brought to you by the makers of Pinex, that quick-acting, pleasant-tasting, home-mixed cough syrup that has been America's leading cough remedy for more than 30 years. Each morning, this transcribed program with Red Foley, the girls of the Golden West, Slim Miller, and the Corn Crackers, with Whitey Ford as master of ceremonies, will be brought to you at this same time, and we hope you'll be with us regularly. And now, here we go. Okay, Whitey.
Good morning, friends, and howdy, neighbors. Well, here we are with our first Pinex program, and we hope you'll learn to like us right smart. Now, they've already introduced Red Foley, so it won't take a lot of introduction to get him on the air now. Ramblin' Red Foley making little footprints in the snow. Make 'em red.
Some folks like the summertime when they can walk about, strolling through the meadows green, pleasant as no doubt. Just give me the winter time when snow is on the ground, for found it when the snow was on the ground. I traced the little footprints in the snow. I traced the little footprints in the snow. I blessed that happy day when Nellie lost her way, for found it when the snow was on the ground. One day I went to see her, 'twas along about noon. Her mother said she just stepped out, would be returning soon. I found her little footsteps and I traced them in the snow, and I found her when the snow was on the ground. I traced her little footprints in the snow. I traced her little footprints in the snow. I blessed that happy day when Nellie lost her way, or found her when the snow was on the ground. up in heaven with an angel band. Someday I'll go to meet her in that happy land. Every time the snow falls, it brings me memories. All found it when the snow was on the ground. I traced a little footprint in the snow. I traced a little footprint in the snow. I bless that happy day when Nellie lost her way. All found her when the snow was on the ground.
Thanks a lot, Red Foley, and if you made them little footprints in the snow to the rhythm of that there music, I imagine it looked like you've been swinging your partner around, you know? Yeah, kind of peppy, yes, sir. And now, friends, we're going to have a little fiddling. It's swing music. You know, it might not be swing up in New York, but it is down home where we come from. Slim Miller and the boys telling us about the Arkansas Traveler. Fiddle. Okay. Boy, I wish it'd been out on the dance floor. I could really cut a dido to that, you know what? It would have been a lot better, but Doc Swally, the bass player, had the fiddle under his chin, and he couldn't get it down inside there. Right now, we're going to have some pretty singing by a couple of pretty girls. A couple of old friends of yours, Dolly and Millie, the girls of the Golden West, and they want to tell us about a cowboy's dream.
Posted and 'em
Dolly and Millie, that was mighty pretty. A cowboy's dream. You know, I often wondered what they dream about. You know, I would have been a cowboy. Yeah, I would have been a cowboy, but I could never save up enough money to get a guitar. That's the fact. I got the hat and the boots. That's the cowboy's dream, and Slim Miller and Doc Swally and Red are here with the instruments, a few more of the boys and girls, and they're going to tell us about what the cowboys wear. Leather breeches.